Hello, everybody. Welcome again to a new episode of the Piano Star Masterclass. I'm your host, Brian Lin, and welcome again. During the live stream, you can ask us any question in the chat, and we will do our best to answer them. You can also sign up to be a performer for these classes and get a chance to perform for our live audience. Today's guest teacher, Dr. Lisa Yu, is a Yamaha artist who enjoys a multifaceted musical career as a pianist, lecturer, teacher, author, and musical director. She made her concerto debut at age 7 and has since performed around the world. She teaches graduate piano literature, keyboard skills, and music history at the Manhattan School of Music. Great to see you, Lisa. Welcome.
Hi, Brian. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure. So, our topic today is very about the present, the COVID-19. I was wondering, what have you been doing personally during this whole quarantine?
It's interesting. Well, I guess I should start off by talking about what I'm not doing, because as you've briefly mentioned in my bio, my life is, like many musicians today, multifaceted. That sounds very, self-blowing up, but I do many different things. And so obviously I teach piano at Montclair State University. I teach classes at Manhattan School of Music. I perform. I have an administrative role at Manhattan School of Music. I organize concerts and concert series, and I do some writing as well. And so my life, like everyone else's, has been completely upside down, and all the classes and all the lessons have moved online. All my meetings are online. I have no concerts, at least for the remainder of this year. And what I have been doing is I'm getting my music and my entertainment online. I'm watching a lot of YouTube and discovering many different interesting channels that people have been creating. I'm actually really fascinated by how public, personas, like they've transferred from live to the online experience. So for example, late night hosts, how they've moved from an online, a live audience to online, and how they changed their techniques and the way they kind of present their shows. So I've been watching these half as entertainment, but also partly as, for my own studies as well. And I'm wondering how I could translate this into music teaching, music performance. And I'm getting a lot of things done that I couldn't before when I had to kind of run around physically all over the place. So I finally finished this article that's been on the back burner for nearly 10 years. I'm finishing up a recording that I've kind of delayed in editing for 2-3 years. I'm learning new skills such as audio editing, video editing, knitting, and when it comes to practice, it's actually interesting because for the first time in my life, really, I'm not practicing to prepare for a concert, but I'm just simply playing pieces that I love and that I've wanted to learn all my life and just somehow never fit into a program. And so this has been a fascinating period of self-reflection.
Sounds like you have a lot of positive things going on, even though during this
there's a lot of sleeping,
seemingly negative time. So are there any specific, I know you mentioned a couple already, but are there any specific plans for the future that came out of this, or musical plans or others that you are working on that are in the works?
So of course, the things that I've been telling you are positive, creative things, but there are also, these vast kind of vacuums of nothingness and moments of self-doubt and fear of the unknown, right? And I'm completely aware of the really, truly devastating effects that this virus has caused, this pandemic has been causing, not just in the arts world, but everywhere in every field. And so there is, when I talk about, these predictions of what's going to happen and so forth, it's a little bit like watching the news and, people talking about COVID-19 and that no one really knows, right? No one really knows. We're just all guessing what's going to happen. But so whatever I talk about and whatever I talk about the future, this is only purely through my own experience, my very small, chunk in this whole pie of the entire world. Just what I know definitely is going to happen in my life, at least for the next year or so. I don't have any concerts until 2021, and we don't really know what's going to happen in 2021, but at least it's scheduled, a live concert. I have a couple of video projects. People are now moving on live concerts to kind of like video experiences or live stream and so forth. And so I actually did some serious research on, equipment, of recording equipment, because I realized that I have to learn how to make decent recordings at my own home. And so I'm learning about, external mics and interface and what are the best placements for the mic, considering my room and, the noise of the street noise and so forth. And also video editing, audio editing. And so I'm really just scrambling to get some of these together. And I think I'm going to learn mainly through experience more than anything. I have a concert series that is usually presented at Manhattan School of Music. It's called Lives of the Piano. And this season, the 2020-21 season, is the 20th anniversary of the series. And it's a lecture series. Usually each concert has a theme, and many different pianists come together, students, faculty, and other colleagues come and perform together. And I introduce each performer, talking about also the history of the piece as well. That is not going to happen live. And so I've decided that we're going to gather little performance videos from each of the performers. They're each going to talk about their experience with the piece. The theme is the global community, about, pieces that are, culturally or historically significant for each performer. And we're going to edit this together to create this one big concert that will be streamed in late October. And then finally, my recording, which has been on the back burner for 2-3 years, I'm going to edit that. And I'm in the process of deciding, this is another topic, but is it worth, releasing a CD? Do people listen to CDs these days, or should I just make a video like a music video out of it? And so these are some of the things in the immediate future that I'm considering. And I'm just basically trying to keep busy to remain alive.
Sounds like a lot of, and I totally get the same feeling as you when it comes to learning all these new skills and learning about these new equipments. Sounds like our way of life has really taken a shift and change through this quarantine. I wonder if you think this trend of moving things online and doing these online concerts, classes, I wonder if you think these trends will continue, or if this is just a temporary thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, the intelligent answer would be, I don't know. So I'm just guessing. Mm-hmm. Well, I think, first of all, change has been necessary in the classical music field, I think, for a long, long time. And I have been saying how, there's a reason why we call music conservatories conservatory, right? Because it's conservative, and right. Quite often conservatories are one of the last education institutions to move into the current century in so many ways. And just the fact that, first of all the schools were forced to go online, at least for me, shifting all my classes online has been completely eye-opening. I would have always said, 4 months ago, that there's nothing that could replace live, face-to-face classroom teaching, of course, with lessons as well. But out of necessity, I realized that there are actually many, many things that are possible when you teach online. And, students are able to listen to to watch the lectures or the lessons later on their own so that they can remember, and hear certain things that they may have missed. You're able to share files really, really easily. You can show videos really easily. I can show, like PowerPoint presentations and share the screen. There are just many really exciting things that are possible. And another thing, and this is a very kind of a long-winded way of answering your question, but creativity, I think, grows quite often out of necessity and limitations. And we quite often think that creativity is just like poof, it comes and then the world changes or something. But it's not like Michelangelo said, I envision painting the ceiling of this huge cathedral, right? There was a political and kind of a cultural necessity, and someone said, I'm going to pay you this huge amount of money, and here's this cathedral, so paint it, right? And then so they had the opportunity to be creative. They were forced to be creative. And so I like to think that what we think are limitations are possibilities for incredible change and opportunity, where change has been necessary. If we go to a concert hall, if we ever do, again, of course we will, the ages of the audience members are getting older and older, and that's a reality. It's very easy to blame the youths by saying, they can't focus, they don't like anything that's of quality. But if you watch, if you play some video games, if you watch YouTube videos, if you see the big budget Hollywood movies that are out, you can see what's so attractive about these things, right? And if you and I, who love this incredible world of classical music, and we've been deeply moved by it, our lives have changed, it is comfort to us, it is our passion. And if we want to share that, we have to find a way to speak in the language that the audience speaks in, right? And I think a lot of this has to do with an online presence. I'm actually very impressed by what I'm seeing on YouTube these days, some of these channels. It's a very high quality, educational, and entertaining as well. And so I do think technology will be more important. And even when concert halls reopen, schools reopen, I think we will discover that there are many, many things that are possible with technology that we could keep, right? I don't know if you've seen the Met Gala, Met Opera Gala, or also the the One World, the concert for essential workers, the big, the pop, yes. event. And that was really exciting. You kind of, I saw how people could be in this very personal space of their home and so forth, and still create really, really high quality music. And I think also intimacy is going to be a big thing of performances becoming more personal, perhaps more immediate, which may mean that it may be a really great skill to have to be able to communicate to an online audience, right? And that has been true all the time. I think it's always been necessary. I won't say necessary. It has been very helpful if the performer can communicate with the audience directly instead of this kind of, coming out onto a dark hall and then playing and then leaving forever and ever. This kind of, concert experiences are becoming more intimate. The salon concerts, the smaller audience of 100 people, even 50 people are becoming more popular. And so this kind of the ability to connect with your audience, I think, is becoming more important, as we are experiencing on this website here, right? On Piano League.
Yes, and that this project, this platform that we're speaking on, is definitely a direct result of the limitations that this quarantine has brought upon us, and that's why this thing was created. So very, very true. There are two directions that I want to take our topic. One is more grander, and the other one is more practical. So I guess I would go with first the practical. Okay, so obviously a lot of real impact has, even though good things have come out of this quarantine, things of innovation, but there are also people who have been severely affected. The gig economy, right? The musicians who play gigs, private teachers who may have their lessons canceled. For those people, how I guess it's a very difficult question that I'm throwing at you. Perhaps we can discuss it together. How may these people cope better with the quarantine, and should they also be picking up these new skills? And perhaps do you have any advice for people that are, I guess, more severely affected by this?
Of course, my experience and everything that I talk about is mainly focused on solo pianists, right? Or people who teach solo piano, because once we get into ensembles or orchestras, this is a completely different world. And I think in many ways, solo pianists are the luckiest of all musicians, because we don't need other people, in certain ways. I mean, at least to make music. And so I can't even imagine trying to give any kind of solution to this. I think I think it is important and helpful to have, to build any skill. The more skills you have, and this is what I tell students, that you can't just stay in the practice room and practice Beethoven sonatas. And we're talking about repertoire as well as real skills, right? That you have to be not just, clever, but curious about being able to do everything. I mean, my curiosity with technology and mic and so forth, it is out of survival, but it's also out of pure curiosity as well. It's interesting to me to say, oh, how can I make this, it's all about the music, right? How can I make this sound better, right? Or if it's a student, how can I improve my teaching or the angles of the piano so that this student will get the most out of this? Or if it's a class, it's how can I engage these students who are sitting in their pajamas at home and staring at the screen? How can I make this this important story about Franz Liszt or Beethoven sonatas? How can I make them love this, right, during this period? And so I think it's important to consider, what is it that you want to do? I want to share I want to play as much as you can, I can for other people. And and then think of the other side of, what does the world need right now, right? And so, for example, I think, this Piano League Masterclass is a wonderful thing, because not only does it allow many musicians to come and kind of share ideas and commune, but it also gives young students a place where they can present their music so that their practicing is not for nothing, right? And so I think it's important to think about, what is it that I want to do? What is it that the public needs at this time? And it is important and we haven't quite reached that stage yet, I think. How do we monetize this, right? And I don't want to sound dirty or something, but this is our job, right? We have to, it's cool to experiment and so forth, but we have to make a living out of these things. And so I think right now we're at this period where we're experimenting. We're trying these virtual concerts, we're gathering all these videos and presenting it mostly for free, I think, for most people. But then we have to think about, okay, how are we going to actually make this, we're going to sell this in certain ways so that musicians could actually, eat as well as, live their passion, right? And I think the difference is going to be quality, of the quality. Because my other concern is people are experimenting. They're trying out all these wonderful things. I'm trying out all these things. And what I'm afraid about is that we forget that this is a craft, right? We're not just doing interesting things out of, of like cool things, but we're talking about how do we make this beautiful phrase, right? How do we make this complete unity out of this, piece and so forth? And frankly, right now, the online experience does not allow really great quality, music to be made, right? And so I hope musicians don't forget that this is, we're as snooty as this sounds. I mean, we're craftsmen and we're artists, right? And we have to focus on making quality material, and then we think about how are the best methods in order to pass this on to a wider audience. And I think the ones with the best quality will be the ones that will be able to survive, financially and so forth. And so, Brian, I'm fully aware I'm not really giving you the golden answer here because, frankly, I don't know, right? But I think what's important is to consider, I think piano teachers are necessary, especially because kids are home kind of twiddling their thumbs and parents, driving parents crazy and so forth. And so quite often I find that my friends and colleagues have not really lost a huge amount of students. People are performing more and doing more home recordings and so forth. This is not going to be forever. I really believe it's not going to be forever, but we don't know how long it's going to last. So I do recommend that we open our eyes and see this as an opportunity for kind of broadening our audience and kind of spreading our music to, in many ways, a wider audience. And my students, for example, are now some students who usually are, let's say, in China, and they don't take lessons usually are now regularly taking lessons. And so you lose a couple of things, but I've gained a wider, kind of a more global audience and students as well from this. And I hope we can continue to learn and that technology can continue to evolve as quickly as possible. And so that we can kind of get through this better and smarter and more creative.
Gotcha. I think you've touched, I know I mentioned that it was a practical question, but I think
an important question.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think you've touched on what I was going to ask next, which was a grander thing, the future, I guess, of classical music and the future of pianists, right? Cue the title. Because there are, and you, of course, you mentioned quality. I've seen, some amazing productions online, almost, if not daily, then weekly, or at least monthly. You see a lot of brand new, concerts, online concerts for free, as you mentioned. Mm-hmm. Do you think we've had a surplus of music online? I know I'm purposefully phrasing this question like this, mm-hmm. Because there are people who thinks, why go to a concert hall why pay for a ticket when you can see all these wonderful masters playing online. I wonder, is there negative out of all these new, amazing productions, or how do you look at this whole thing?
Yes. No, absolutely. There's too much, and that even when there's a diamond, it could be very difficult to find that among all the not coal, but coal. If it's among coal, it would be very easy to find the diamond. But it's just that there's actually a lot of pretty good quality things rolling around, right? I think first of all, there's nothing really that replaces live performance, live lessons and all that. And it's kind of like movies, right? I mean, it's just not quite the same watching, Netflix at home versus going to a movie theater. And I think we do have to accept that classical music is a rather exclusive, dare I say, elitist thing. And I use the word elitist not as a negative thing, but as something that requires work, right? To really appreciate deeply. And so I think there is a surplus, but again, we have to focus on quality along with a willingness to somewhat evolve our kind of presentation. And my optimistic, maybe overly optimistic view is that something that's really extraordinary will stand out. And also understand that this year is not normal, right? This is not, we tend to think that this is somehow going to be the downfall of music. I think, classical music has been around for centuries, and it's pretty resilient. Musicians are resilient. Music lovers are resilient. And so let's remember that this year 2020 is not forever. And we are going to return to concert halls. And the wish is that musicians would have built new skills along to add with live performance and live teaching.
Very, very true. It's definitely not forever, and I'm definitely, for one, hoping that I can return. And it's been forever since I've watched, I've seen or heard a live concert. So I definitely miss it. Yeah. I guess from another point of view, since you are faculty at a conservatory, so I'm guessing you would have some kind of unique perspective on, because you are seeing the next generation of musicians, of professional musicians, and they're in charge of bringing the next generation of music to us. Do you see is the future bright, in a sense that do you see from the people that are coming, because the reason I'm asking this is a lot of student of mine ask me the same question. How do you know whether you should do music? What will I get a job in music? From your experience, if someone were deciding, whether they should go with music or not, or whether they should pursue a musical career, what kind of things would you say to them, or what kind of advice would you give to them that that perhaps helps them get a better idea of what our industry is like?
Especially now, right?
Especially now, exactly.
Especially now, where the future is dark in many ways. Well, I mean, that's a question that I get every year around April or May when students are about to graduate. And there's often this, Dr. Yui, can I have coffee, right? And the discussion is, I'm graduating next year. I don't know what to do, visa, job, many, many different things. and they're all valid. And well, I can recount my own story of how I somehow lived on doing what I love doing. And I can't imagine how the same story could apply for each student, right? All of my colleagues who have kind of somehow hung on, until our age, they have very, very different individual stories, except there's one connecting aspect between all of us, which is we all love music madly, right? And that really seems to be the one thing that connects, right? That we really couldn't do anything else, in many ways. And so if a student says, well, I'm actually thinking of becoming an engineer or a doctor or something, good job, right? You are smart, right? You should do that. And I'm not kidding. I think that's a wonderful thing to be able to say, right? That I love music, but I think it's not realistic. And I really enjoy this as well. And I kind of want this, right? And so that's wonderful. But I have to say, all the students who have come to me and said, I don't know what to do, and I'm so scared, I'm worried, and so forth, 100% of them are fine. They are all somehow, making a living from music. Or at least they're playing music and they found something else that could support that, which is totally fine as well. And so what's, I think, the most important thing is flexibility, right? Of adaptability, of being able to adapt to the world, to what happens in your life. And if you have this, just a simple, pure love for playing, somehow people somehow find a way, and it's a strange thing and it sounds very Pollyanna-esque, but my experience has been if a student really, really wants to continue this, they somehow always found a way. And that's all I could say. But I think the important thing is to be open-minded and flexible, and that you don't really have a clear image of what success means to you, right? Success means a lot of different things to different people. And if you maybe have an incredibly clear vision of that, then you may be disappointed. But as long as you're flexible, you're adaptable, and you're curious, and you love music, I would say I have not seen a case where a student had all of that and we're not fine.
Very, very sound advice. Thank you so much for that. So I think our next student is having a little bit of technical difficulty. So do you have any last minute words or advice that you want to tell our audience? And if not, we can go to a short break while we handle.
No, I'm assuming people who are watching this are music lovers. And so please keep loving music. And if you're not specifically musicians, the greatest thing you can do is to keep attending these things, attending concerts and supporting musicians and speaking to them afterwards and saying, telling them how much you've enjoyed it. And you cannot imagine how much that means to musicians, because gosh darn it, we work hard, don't we?
Yes, definitely. We definitely do. Speaking of the devil, actually, our next performer is on. Good. So that was perfect timing. Thank you again so much for.
Thank you, Brian.
Audience, if you missed the live stream, you can always watch the replay. All right. So our next, first performer of tonight, his name is Logan, and he is 7 years old, and he'll be playing some pieces from the Alfred Premier Piano courses. So,
hi, Logan. Hi.
How's it going, Logan?
Can you hear us?
Can you hear us well?
Good.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
So I'll leave it up to you guys, but I'll be in the backstage anytime you want me. Just ask.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, Logan.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Lisa. I'm really looking forward to hearing you play. What would you like to start with? Which piece?
This.
I can't see. I think if you play it, I'll recognize it. Good, good. Okay, so this, do you know, did you learn meter? Do you know what the time signature is for this? Do you see the numbers that say 3, 4 at the beginning? What does 3, 4 mean?
3 beats and 4 measures.
3 beats, that's correct. The 4 means quarter notes. So that means that there are 3 quarter notes in one measure or one bar. Okay. So when you count, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when a piece is in 3, 4, 3 quarter notes in one bar, what do you think is the strongest? Is it 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, or is it 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, or is it 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3? Which beat do you think is the strongest?
1.
1. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So what it does is this like nice swing. It goes 1, 2, 3, 1. So when you play, it goes 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. So when I'd like for you to play that again and really feel that 1 is the strongest. You know, like when you're on a swing, do you like swings? Someone has to push you, right? Sometimes when you're on a swing, imagine someone is pushing you on 1. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. So try that again. Okay, the first 3 lines were really, really good. I want to work on that last line where you have this part. Okay, the right hand, do you see where it goes? Where it goes B, E? Do you learn do, re, mi, fa, or do you learn C, D, E, F, G? Do you know, okay, do you know what B is? B and E?
Yeah.
Okay, do you see B and E on measure 14? Look at measure 14, the last note of bar 14. Do you see that? There you go. Play for me. Yes. Where it has 2-5 on the music. Do you see where it says 2-5?
What?
2-5 on the music. It says last line. I know you can't see it, but bar 14. Look at your music. Look at your music for a sec.
What?
Do you see in bar 14? It says 2, 5. B, E. Logan, play for me the last line. The last line. Yes, exactly, exactly. I want you to see, Logan, that the right hand plays the same note, B, E, and then B, E, and then B, E. The last line, right hand plays the same notes except an octave higher. Okay, try that last line. Try just the right hand, B, E. There you go. Good. One more. Very good. Very good. Do that again. That was really good. B, E, B, E, B, E. Perfect. Do that last line again, both hands now. That was really good. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So it's much easier if you know that those are the same 3 notes, because you seemed like you weren't very sure what the notes were, but they're all the same notes. Okay? Play for me another piece.
Okay.
Could you play for me the pirate piece?
Okay.
That was really good. That was really good. You followed all the forte and piano differences. Let's see. You know, it's actually really good already, but let's see if we can make it, you know, what does it say in the top of the piece? It says, what, with excitement, it says, right? What are pirates like? Are they nice?
No.
They're not nice, right? And then this sea, you know, so the pirates are on the boat. Is the sea very calm and quiet, or do you think it's really stormy?
At the picture, it says,
What's that?
at the picture, it says like it's wavy.
Yeah, I think it's really stormy, right? And so I think you can make this even more exciting. And so, for example, oh, it's in 3/4 again. Remember 1, 2, 3. What does 3/4 mean again? There are 3 what?
There 4 quarter notes.
Very good. 3 quarter notes. Which beat is the strongest? First or second or third? Is it 1?
The first note.
Exactly. So it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And even when it's soft, you can still go 1, 2, 3. It's a little scarier when it's softer. Okay? So could you play that again, that first part? First time it's angry pirate. Grr. And then shh. Very good, very good. Now next part, forte again, right? Please, go ahead. Next part.
Okay.
Oh, you stopped. I was disappointed. Okay, so actually because you stopped, you see this? I think that you call it an arpeggio when you do this. I think that's like when a wave is crashing up and you can make it more exciting, right? So have you seen the ocean, the waves? Have you seen the ocean where the waves go up and down like that? I think this is like that, right? Can you do that? That's really good. Logan, do from one bar before that, from here. Very good. And this, it's a little scary. And it could be scary if it gets, which note is loudest? First note, second note, third note, or fourth note?
Fourth.
Wait, listen carefully.
Second.
It's like someone's going, woo, right? So. Isn't that scary? Make it scary for me. Oh, you played it correctly. I played it wrong. Logan, it'll be scarier if the first note is softer. Not, but. Yes, do that again. It's almost perfect. So, and then softer. Start soft, start softly. Good, next one. Smaller wave, but still wave. It's piano now. Good. Now, oh, Logan, the last two bars, do you see this line that goes like a V on the side? What does that mean? Look at the music. What is it? Do you see that V, that shape like a line that opens up like that? What does that mean?
That means that you get louder or softer if it's this way.
Exactly. This is it gets louder. It's called crescendo, right? So you can do that, right? Pirate, right? Wait. Start softly so that you can get louder. Good. Logan, would you be scared by that pirate?
No.
I think you could be scarier. You know, you're like a smiling pirate, right? Not a smiling pirate, an angry pirate, right? So. And then you have to say "er" at the end.
What? That.
Okay, try it again. Remember, if you want to do a crescendo, you have to start soft. Okay, that's really good. That's so much more interesting now, right? Because you seem like a really smart and kind person, but you have to pretend you're not in this piece, right? Okay, you have one more piece, right?
Yeah.
Can I hear that?
Okay.
Logan, good. This piece has a lot of flats and sharps, and you followed them really, really well. And I'm really happy that, you know, you stopped a couple of times, but you finished it, and you finished it until the very end, which is really, really important, right? So I'm really glad you did that. So this piece is really different from the pirate song, right? Right. And so what's important is that if in the pirate you show your angry side, this you have to show your very quiet, kind, nice side, right? So this, what's that?
Like people?
I can't hear you.
Like peaceful?
Peaceful, exactly. Very peaceful. Like you're, you know, at the end of the day, you're sitting outside. It's very beautiful outside. You're happy, right? And so I think you can even go slower. Oh. Do you know what an echo is? Echo?
Yeah.
You know, right? Like you can shout out in the mountain and then it answers you. And I think this is a little like that. So it has to be very, very soft, that echo, where your left hand plays the melody. I think it could be that slow. make sure your pirate is not alive, right? The pirate is asleep, right? Happy pirate. Try this. Try from the beginning. Peaceful. Logan, very beautiful, Logan. Very, very beautiful. And I personally, I love this, the A flat is so pretty, right? So it's when something is it's so beautiful that it hurts, right? A little. This is, so for me, could you love that A flat when you play it, right? Okay, try that again. Just, let's just try the first two lines again, and then I want to hear peaceful Logan, who loves A flat. Go on, one more line. I want to hear that A flat again because I love that note so much. Very good. Aiden, you know, I like that you chose three pieces that are so very, very different in mood. And sometimes it's hard when you go from pirate to evening song to shift from angry pirate to peaceful Logan, you know? So make sure before you play a new piece that you take a breath and you calm yourself and you get into the piece because they're very, very different. Make the pirate song very angry and make the evening song, you chose a very good word, very peaceful. Okay? Thank you for playing. It's good to hear you play.
Thank you, Logan. Thank you so much for joining us, and great job. All right, that was lovely.
Sweet.
From time to time, we have very young students like Logan who are eager to learn.
How difficult it is to teach little children, you know?
Right. Yeah, and then it's so eye-opening to see someone accomplished like you, who normally we will never get to see teach a young student, and there's so much to learn from that as well, I believe, for all the teachers.
I learn a lot from teaching children.
Okay, well, we have our next student ready in the backstage, so we will bring her in. Her name is Kyla Lee, and she is from New York City. So, welcome, Kyla. Can you hear us? Kyla, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, great. All
Hi,
right.
Kyla. Looking forward to hearing you play. Okay, whenever you're ready. Thank you, Kyla. So just for the audience who may not know what this piece is, so this is, as it says on the screen, the arietta from Lyric Pieces. And Grieg, of course, is a Norwegian composer, and he composed 66 of these lyric pieces, all relatively short. The one we just heard is the first one, called Arietta. And over the span of, I think, about 35 years, he continued to compose these little pieces. And I think, Kyla, I love Grieg. I don't know, have you played any works by Grieg, other works? Is this your first?
I think this is the first song I've Grieg.
I see. I love Grieg. And actually, it's funny that I'm hearing this because during this quarantine, I've been also playing some Grieg as well. So we're working on same composers, right? So Grieg is, I think the reason why I love Grieg so much is because he is not a show-off. He said that composers like Beethoven or Bach composed really grandiose pieces that are like churches and big cathedrals and so forth, and that Grieg himself, composed creative villages, little worlds for everyday people, for people to just enjoy. And so I think it's sometimes nice to play pieces that are just simple and beautiful like this, and sometimes they're very difficult. It's difficult to play simple and beautiful pieces. But you play this very, very beautifully. One thing, I think it's about a space, but if you are able to, not now, if you can place the camera on the right side of your piano, I think the sound is going to be better, right? Because then we can hear the weaker notes with the thinner strings a little more clearly, because right now I'm hearing a lot of left hand. And I don't want to correct something that's just simply because of where your camera is placed, right? And so this is just a suggestion that maybe in the future when you play in lessons and so forth, you could put your camera on the right side of your piano, okay? So, so my first thing is arietta means melody, simple little melody. And could you play, what is the melody? Could you play for me what the melody is? Just the melody. If you want to use the music, go ahead. During the lesson, I mean. So what's the, yeah, exactly. You can keep it open during the lesson. Yeah. So the melody is just this, right? Could you just play the melody? Okay. E flat. Good, Kyla. So that's the first part of the melody. Okay, that's part one, and then there's a part B after that. Now, okay, so you have how many G's? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have 5 of the same G's. Should you play them all the same way?
Yes.
No. In music, in general, if you play the same note, they have to all be different in some ways, okay? Because for example, let's say if I talk right now and I say, I'm going to talk like this, and Kyla, I want you to do what I'm telling you to do. Isn't that kind of boring for me to speak everything in the same tone, right? You need to kind of go up and down and, louder and softer and so forth to be interesting, right? And especially if it's the same note. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Which G do you think should be the loudest?
The last G, the fifth G.
Yeah. So it has a crescendo, right? That goes to the last one. But I want you to think that it's not getting just louder, but you're going towards it. It's like a ball is falling down a hill towards that last G. So it's like I'm saying, you know, this is what I want to say, right? So the more you think of music as talking, it will seem more natural. So it's bum 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 pa da da. Treat that last G as if it's very important. Try that again. Just the melody. That's already better, just because each note was a little different. Now, another thing, remember, when you play softer or louder, the slower you go down the note, the softer it will be. The faster you go down, the louder it's going to be. So you're going to start going slowly down. Kyla, I want you to practice. Play for me 5 Gs from very soft to very loud. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Soft, soft. You can do softer, I think. You can go softer. Very good. You can start softer by going down even slower. Go down slower and it'll be softer. Okay, try that. Excellent. Very, very good. Now, you don't have to get that loud for this piece, but try that again. It's very good. Good. Now, next one, you have now F, 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 F. Which do you want to make louder, the G, 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 Gs or the F, 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 F? Which do you think is more?
The G, G, Gs.
I think so. Quite often, if it's higher, it's a little more. Lower is a little softer. So you have to measure that. So this was so good. A little less now. Try that. Oh, good. Now, next one, you're going to start from E flat. So, try that next one. Good. Now, the next 2 bars, it's almost exactly the same. What's different? What is different between the first 2 bars of line 2 and the last 2 bars of line 2?
The second last 2 bars of line 2.
What's different?
Oh, so the first bar of the last line 2, it's more smoother.
And
Yes.
And also you have the bar 5 and 6, you have, and then you have, that's different, right? So you have to show the audience what's different. So it's like saying, I'd like for you to do this. And the second one is, I really like for you to do this. It's the really, right? So and when you say really, you're not going to say, I want you to really do this. I want you to really do this. You take time. I want you to really. So right?
Yeah.
Okay. Its first line was excellent. And so try the melody of the second line. Good. Go on. Go on. Okay. Grieg is actually, he was a very good pianist. You can hear some recordings actually on YouTube of his, but he wrote very carefully for the pianist. Do you see the hairpin, the little crescendo and the little diminuendo there?
Yes.
Yes. So the F. Next one is a little lower, so a little softer. Try that. Okay. Now, could you do that a little without slowing down too much? Which note is the loudest again here?
D.
Exactly. You made that the softest actually, so. Da 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 dee ta da pa. You actually, it's weird to actually play that D more. And that's why you have to take a little time. Da 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 dee da da da. Good, and you fix the E flat. Very good. Now, Kyla, the difficult part is to make that melody sound like that with okay. It's really not easy to do everything together, but now that you heard the melody, see if you can keep the melody sounding like that while adding the left hand. Kyla, I don't know if you hear it, but it's so much more beautiful that way. It's very, very beautiful. Now it sounds like an arietta, which is a song that someone is playing, right? I'm going to ask you to do, because I think, you know, you're doing this very, very well right now, and I'm going to ask you to do something very difficult, which is even more melody and much, much less accompaniment, right? because I'm still hearing, I don't know if you can hear this, but it sounds a little. I'm hearing a lot of this, so that the melody it's like one small child is singing, and then there's this like whole band of 10 people playing an accompaniment, and it's hard for the singer to sing, right? And so you have to make the melody clear, make the accompaniment 4 P's, pianissimo, pianissimo, okay? So I'm playing this very, very soft, and the melody is. See if you can do that. This is hard. It's a lot. It's better. It's better. Try just the first one. Do you hear that my melody is the clearest, my pinky? Not, but like an icicle. The first note. This is the most important. Do it again. Beautiful. Now, make sure your left-hand thumb doesn't go. Because this is such a fat finger, you have to be careful not to go bang, bang, right? You have to be very, very delicate with the thumb so that it doesn't go louder than this poor little pinky. You can do better. I think you can do better. Good, good, very beautiful sound. I'm sorry, I'm making you think so much, but what I want you to hear is the clear melody line. So this is melody, this is your accompaniment. Right now, it's about here. Your accompaniment is quite loud, but I want you to make this very, very, very soft so that the melody is very clearly the melody, okay? Go ahead, go ahead. Go on. Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Okay, so Kyla, now I'm going to ask you something. I can hear your pedal. I can't see your foot, but I can hear it. And tell me if you can hear. I don't know how your connection is. Tell me what is not good about this. Do you hear this? I'm pedaling through everything. So I'm hearing. I'm not changing the pedal. And do you know have you heard anyone say like muddy pedal? Do you know the term muddy pedal? Yeah, it means like your pedal is pressing and it's not changing, right? So it sounds a little like that, right? So that part where I just played, do you see that star on the music? What does that star mean? At the very bottom. Do you see where it says pedal and then star?
Yes.
Yeah, what does that star mean? It means take off the pedal. It means pedal off. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. So here, and then take off your pedal. Because there's a rest in the left hand. And I think you're pressing the pedal. Okay, I'm not sure if I'm correct, but do it again and we'll listen to it. Just that bar. And then take your foot off. And then. There you go. So there too, I'm hearing this. Off pedal. You don't want to hear F sharp and G under one pedal. You hear it? Okay. Good. So do you muddy pedal is kind of like someone's talking or it sounds like this. It's kind of annoying, right? When people don't talk very clearly, right? So you have to clear your pedal so that every word or every note is clear, right? Off pedal. Change your pedal and then off pedal. Off pedal. You did it really well. Can I hear those 2 bars again? Or 4 bars? Good. Beautiful. Go on. The second half is almost exactly the same as the first half. Melody clear. Left hand soft. At the end, take off the pedal. Okay, can I hear the second half? Kyla, I'm sorry to stop you. Don't forget 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 5. You're going towards 5. That's your destiny. That's your destination. Your pedal was excellent right now. Can I add one more thing? I mean, sometimes it's difficult in a masterclass to talk about pedal because it's such a very picky thing, but you're fixing it really, really well. So I want to add one more thing here where it has. You know where I am?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the pedal, you're going to change it on every bass note on the lower left hand. So here. So you're going to change the pedal right where the bass plays. Could you just try that? Just the left hand and your pedal. Good. Could you pedal that way, both hands? Excellent. Kyla, you fixed the pedal really, really quickly. I'm really impressed. Now, one last thing. The last measure, you're definitely doing ritardando. I think it's a little too much, okay? So maybe you can make it a little more natural. So okay, because you kind of, it's almost as if you're playing a completely different measure. You're going a little. Okay, so if there's a conductor, have you been to a symphony concert with a conductor? No. You know what a conductor does, right? Yeah. So I should be able to hear you play this and still be able to conduct. So if you're going 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, so I can do that. Dum, bum, bum, bum. But if you go da 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 da, then I can't conduct because I'm frozen up here, right? So you can slow down, but I have to still be able to conduct. Da 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 dee dee da da ba da dee bum bum bum. I think that's maximum. Don't go slower than that. Okay, try just the last 1, 2, 3. Yeah, about 3 bars. You need a little more. Do the last 3 measures. Kyla, that was perfect. I don't know if that was luck, but that was absolutely perfect. Right? I was able to follow you. Okay. So I think this is recorded. So listen to yourself later on how you played that right now, because I think that was perfect ritardando. It was very natural. Okay. So this piece, my basic comments or suggestions are melody. Remember, melody and your melody and accompaniment, the volume is about the same, or sometimes accompaniment is more. I want you to make the melody very clear and the accompaniment incredibly softer, right? Another thing is when you repeat a note, you play them the same way?
No.
No, that's right. So, bum, 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 number 5, you want to go to number 5, okay? And then pedal, change your pedal clearly. Those 3 are the only things. You play this very beautifully.
Thank you.
Thank you for playing. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Thank you, Kyla, for joining us. Wonderful performance. Hope to see you. All right. Wow, time passes really fast, and we're at the end of our masterclass. Dr. Yu, thank you so much for your so much wisdom and so much just knowledge coming from you. So
we're all desperate at these times.
Right, and I'm really impressed, as I'm sure you are, by the performances by the students as well.
Such a wonderful opportunity. Yeah.
Right, it's incredibly hard for them to, during this time at home and putting up such performances, just it's hard enough to get them to practice, let alone doing a performance. So thank you to our performer as well. In any case, that concludes our episode today. Like Lisa has said, we have the replay available on YouTube if you want to watch and if you missed the live stream. And that's it. Thank you guys again for watching. Happy practicing, Piano Leaguers, and hope to see you next week on Tuesday at the same time. We have another episode.